So we'll start with client, what is referred to in the 802.11 terminology as the station. Now, client devices increasingly are built in to the actual product. So for instance, it's hard to imagine today buying a laptop or a tablet that doesn't already have Wi-Fi in them. On some tablets you'll see it's just supporting the 2.4 gigahertz band, but increasingly what you're seeing on both tablets and laptops is it will support both the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz band. So it's got a dual radio in there that will connect on either. What you're also seeing increasingly is Wi-Fi in smartphones as well. And I think the percentage is something like about 95–96% of smartphones now include Wi-Fi. Now, quite often when it's in a smartphone, what you'll see is you perhaps won't get some of the highest data rates, or it might just support the 2.4 gigahertz band, and maybe it doesn't operate in the 5 gigahertz band. So whenever you're looking at a client, you should always look as to what frequencies is this supporting, what data rates does it support. They're also possible for you to buy adapters so you can add Wi-Fi to a device that's currently not wireless enabled. I recently connected my desktop on a wired connection. I have it wired in my home, but for various test reasons I decided to put a wireless adapter to it. And I bought an adapter much like you see in the middle here. Slightly different in the sense that it had a USB, but it had a longer wire connected to it, so I could actually put the radio up a little bit higher, put the USB into my desktop, which is on the ground, but actually run the cable and the actual antenna up to my desktop, and that's working quite well. Alternatively, you could just use a USB stick like shown in the middle here. I will use something like that if I'm conducting a wireless site survey, simply because the results are more consistent than if I'm using a Wi-Fi that's built into my laptop while I'm doing that site survey. Over on the left here, you can see a PCMCIA card Wi-Fi adapter. And you typically don't see these larger adapters anymore. If you've got a device that's pretty old that you want to connect, then that is one way to go. A few months ago when I got my Cisco Spectrum Expert, that runs on the card bus, and that is pre-PCMCIA, and so I had to get a card bus to mini PCMCIA card adapter, and then I had to find an old laptop where I could plug in a mini PCMCIA card in order to get that wireless adapter to work. It took me about 2 weeks with trying and researching it and ordering equipment to get that product actually up and working. So you typically don't see that, but there are some times when you might have to come across that form factor and use it. Now over on the right here in the picture, this is another Wi-Fi card that you could put into a desktop. The issue with this is that it plugs into the back of the desktop, and your desktop has a lot of metal in it. It's also typically on the ground, and so when you use something like that, yeah, it's Wi-Fi, but sometimes you don't always get the best coverage because your equipment is not in the best RF environment, and hence why I chose one that related to the middle so I could actually put my antennas up on the desk.